Odegaard. Ravel. Ambitious, but brilliant! I don't believe it! I swear I do not believe it! And they are back on terms!
Hello, everybody. Welcome to New York Talk. This is the Rotherham United podcast, and we're back. Don't know what Rotherham stuff we're going to talk about because nothing's happened. Maybe that's what we can talk about, the fact that nothing's happened. But welcome, everybody. Thank you for joining us, and we will do what we can. We have a full house. We have Mick with us. Hello, Michael.
Hello.
We have people expecting a rant today. I don't know where that's going to come from, how that's going to come, but people are expecting one. These things come naturally. Mick doesn't prepare for rants, do you, Mick? They just happen. Yeah?
Yeah, if you want.
Okay. Danny is with us. Thank you for joining us, Danny.
Hello, everybody. How are we doing?
Very, very good. And Benjamin's with us. Hello, Benjamin.
Hello.
Summertime. We're in summertime yet?
Yep.
Nearly there, aren't we?
It's 2002.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. No, just talking to us. Professional stars there, everybody. Oh, brilliant. Isn't it good? So what we wanted to first off tonight is welcome aboard a new sponsor who is helping us keep the show going. Athletic Green have jumped on board for us. Now Athletic Green are they're a supplement company who try to help you with your lifestyle, with your well-being. They do the AG1, which is absorbing 75 high-quality vitamins, minerals, whole food source ingredients, probiotics, and adaptogens, which is a new word I learned because they sponsored us. It is really good. They spent it was 2 or 3 weeks ago. Certainly me, Mick, and Danny have been using it every day. And it's, for me, energy. I have so low on energy a lot of time, and this has been really good to help me through those periods. Mick, I know you've been loving it, haven't you?
I have, yeah. Yeah. My wife, not so much, because it's given me loads of energy as well. So I'm right turning backside now, but even more so than normal. Yeah, good stuff. Very, very good. Really enjoying it. It takes a little bit of use to getting used to taste wise. It's not as though it tastes horrible, is it? It's just a bit of acquired taste.
Yeah, it is. It's like I said, lifestyle friendly. It's got keto, paleo, vegan, dairy free, and gluten free. It's got over 7,000 5-star ratings for the reviews and testimonies. Danny, just give everybody a quick review from you very quickly.
Yeah, I mean, I would show you the mixing bottle that you get with it, but unfortunately it's in the sink because I've had mine today. But yeah, it is very, very good. I mean, like Mick says, the initial taste does take you a little bit by surprise, but yeah, when you get used to it, it's one of the best energy drinks from a natural source, if you like, that I think's out there, because you've got your likes of Monster and Red Bull or anything that are packed full of sugar and caffeine and stuff that's generally bad for you over the long term. But with this stuff, it's all natural. And before getting into Athletic Green, I never really touched anything that were like completely vegan and gluten free, because generally there isn't that much out there that is that. And now that I've tried that, it's like, you know what? Well, I could get used to this. I could get used to it very, very much. And I think it's fantastic. And to use the old stereotype on this podcast, I highly recommend it.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do. So to make it easy, Athletic Green are going to give everybody who goes onto our website a free 1-year supply of immune-supporting vitamin D and 5 travel pack with your first purchase. All you have to do is go to athleticgreens.com/Rotherham, and that's to take ownership of your health and ultimate daily national nutritional, not national insurance, nutritional insurance. We will do a better advert. That is horrendous. We've butchered that, so apologies, Athletic Green, but we've got it out there. It is brilliant. We do recommend it. Right, let's talk about some Rotherham stuff. Talk about Rotherham United. There isn't really much to cover. Danny, I am going to come to you first because I have only one rumour, and that is one that's sort of broke today. Alex Cochrane from Brighton and Hove Albion. Do you think that's got any legs, or is that just rumour?
I mean, it is the first I've heard of it as well when you put it in the group chat earlier today, Matt. But from what I can see on the screen, he's mainly been involved with Brighton's under-23s. He hasn't really been anywhere else. He's sort of come through their academy and he's gone on a few loans here and there. I believe was on loan at Hearts last season in the Scottish Premiership. I think Hearts in the Premiership. They might be. Yeah, there we go.
Yes.
Yep, there we go. So yeah, as you can see on screen, here are his details. He's only got a year left on his contract, so I think Brighton might command a fee for him. And he has just extended that to have the year left. Not done too bad in the Scottish Premiership, bearing in mind he's a defender and he's got 3 goals and 4 assists. I believe he is primarily a left-sided defender, so on the left-back side, but he can also play a little bit further forward in like a wing-back sort of situation, and he has appeared in centre midfield as well, so he's a bit of a versatile left-sided player, which is nice. Yeah, that's all I've really got to know. I know that there are a few clubs that are interested in him as it stands. I think Coventry are looking at him as well. I can't remember. Luton, that's another name. They're looking at him as well.
And Hearts again.
And Hearts again, bringing him back permanently. But I think he does really want to test himself in the Championship. Like I said, he's not really played in English football's upper echelons. So I think he wants to try himself in the Championship, see how he does. He's still a good age at 22, so he's got a lot of learning to do. And we know what Paul Warne's like. He is one of the teachers of football in the EFL, if you like, and he's bound to improve if he does come here. In terms of how much weight he's got with coming to Rotherham, we'll have to wait and see, because like I said, it's the first I've heard of this.
Yeah. Not the first time we've always put up his random stat, because to give us an idea, is according to Football Manager, his top stat is his work rate, which is not the first. I think kind of Washington was one of his top rates, was his work rate or something like that, which is a good sign. Again, Mick doesn't like that we go on Football Manager information, but it's just a good point. It's just a good sign that he is clearly a hard-working guy. Otherwise, that stat wouldn't exist. Something else, Mick, is that he's a left-sided player, and we ain't got any left-sided players anymore. So that is it's really obvious that type of player has been linked with us, because we ain't got a left back. I don't think we've got a left midfielder than Shane Ferguson. I think I say it in it, Shane Ferguson. So it is vital we get somebody on the left-hand side to add a bit of balance.
Well, what's interesting about it as a rumour is that whoever created the rumour in the first place, and that obviously remains to be seen, has either one, done the homework, or two, there might be some truth in it. Because it ticks just about every box, doesn't it, at the moment, from those stats you pulled there. That left side of defence / midfield is an area we're looking to strengthen. We've only got Lajibola realistically at the moment that can fill that. And then Shane Ferguson, who can fill that berth. So, it would his age ticks the box. His work rate ticks the box. Although that is a Football Manager, so who knows how true that is.
Football Manager scouting was a very complex. It's incredible.
Yeah,
I'm sure it is. I'm
pretty sure teams pay to use it.
I don't know whether they still do. There was a story several years ago that Everton paid for the use of their scouting system. Again, I don't know if they still do. Well, knowing Everton right now, they might do, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
But yeah, the recruitment's good.
Either way, it ticks a lot of boxes, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. Absolutely does. Let's see what we've got with us in the comments. We've got Theo Liversidge, Powermad UK, Neil Liversidge, who is watching Soccer Aid. Bless you. S64 Mil is with us. Evening, lads. John Hinsliff. Who have we got? Chris Nichols, hi from the Aussie Insomnia. Great to have you with us. Jim Williams is with us. Stephen Grundy, the first Grundy to get into the show tonight. Thank you. Nice to have you with us. But like Mick says, Ben, that left-hand side, it's not a problem yet because we're still in nearly in mid-June, sorry. So it's not necessarily, let's sign a left-sided player as soon as possible, but it is going to be an issue if it gets to mid-August or if some of the left-sided players.
Is it a rumoured loan or is it a rumoured
permanent?
Yeah.
Well, if it's a rumoured permanent, then it could be, if it is true, it could be a good signing, because obviously for the past couple of years we've kind of been short-terming that left side, as bringing people in from loans or, bringing experienced players in like Ferguson, but they're not long-term. And obviously this kid's a young lad, and if he's good enough, it could be, a long-term left-sided player, which is what we've needed since Matic, really.
Since Matic
We had
got injured.
Yeah,
properly.
because we had Matic for about 4 or 5 years, didn't we? Solidly playing, and then since then we haven't really. Since he got injured, we haven't really had a permanent left-sided player. So I think it is a good signing. It is a good target, even if we're not scouting him. It's just complete nonsense. It is a good target. So yeah, can't complain.
I just feel left back's a strange position that if you can get a good left back, they're very solid. Paul Hurst, Joe Scars, Joe Matic, they're very solid. But it doesn't feel to me there's many of those around. It feels to me it can be a problem position for lots of teams. Because if you very rarely get an exciting and a sexy left back, do you, Danny? They're just left backs. You know what I mean? If they were good and exciting, they'd be left wingers, wouldn't they? So it's not like right backs are fun and exciting. Left backs rarely are they? Especially at this level and all.
Yeah, I think we've got a point, actually. I think, to use John Breckin's old term, if you played left back, you were a failed centre back, so they just stuck you out a bit wider. But yeah, I think the proper definition of a left back, the person who occupies that far left side of your back four, we're seeing in a reduced capacity in modern football, really. Because if you're a pacey, defensive-minded player, you're more of a wing-back now. But if you're more defensively minded than you are pacey, you sort of get put into the more defensive back three, like what we have now. And Joe Matic always said that his favoured position was just on the left of a back three. But because that wasn't really a massive thing, that's why he was a solid left back, but he could sort of do both jobs. But if he is a out-and-out left back, then I can't really see... I can see him being more of a thing in for Ferguson because, like with Matic, the left back always played further forward with us. But if he can play in a back three on the left side, then that could be very good news for us because then he can be that outlet on the left-hand side, but also very defensive-minded. But yeah, I think you're right, Matt. You don't really see a sexy left back anymore because if they're good on the ball and sexy, they play as a winger. But if they're more of a wrecking ball left back, then they're more get put into a back two, don't they? But just to add a tiny little bit more weight to this rumour, it has come from Chris Cook, who is a freelance sports journalist for TalkSport and the BBC. He's tweeting out quite a lot of rumours at the minute, one involving Sheffield Wednesday, one involving Dan Iverson going to Sunderland, which is interesting. And then us with the Alex, is it Cochran? Is that how you say it, Cochran?
I think it's Cochran, yeah.
Yeah, and then there's that rumour from us as well. So yeah, there could be a little bit of truth to this, which is nice because we've not really had much other news over the last week, have we? Other than Paul Warne going on a session in Benidorm. And that came from a Sheffield Wednesday fan.
Yes, it did, yeah. But the question is, Mick, why would this club can't sign players? We can't even get people who are under contract to try and stay. You know what I mean? What kind of club would going to attract that type of player? You know, come on, Mick, come on.
Are you trying to get him to set me off? It's time Tony Stewart dug his hand in his pocket. It's just a joke, man. Honestly, it's just a joke. Are they expected to carry on this coming season with players we've got on the contract at the minute? It's absolutely embarrassing, mate, honest. It really is. It's embarrassing. I know of at least 3 players that we should have gone for and we didn't go for because we weren't going to afford it. I've got that on a reliable source.
What's your reliable source? HP?
Yeah, mate. It's already started, hasn't it? You know, it's out there at the minute. All these people saying that, you know, we went for so-and-so and Tony wouldn't pay price and, you know what I mean? All these things that may have happened, but they happened in somebody's head and not in the real world, you know what I mean?
Yeah. It has been remarkably quiet. And I say remarkable, and I suppose is it remarkable that it's quiet on the 12th of June?
We said right at the beginning of this, didn't we? The back end of last season, as last season finished, it's going to be quiet. Rotherham United don't do the business in the first 3 weeks at transfer window. Never have done. As long as I can remember, and certainly not under this current regime. You know, they bide the time, they pick the targets, they go out and they get the targets that they're after. 9 times out of 10, they get the ones that they're after, don't they? You know, this is not a Steve Evans regime where we just throw net out and see who we can catch, and hopefully there's a good in it amongst them. That's not what happens anymore. It doesn't happen under Paul Warne. I don't know.
Yeah. Ben, again, let's go theoretical. Before we talk about some the contracts I haven't seen signed yet, when would you get worried? If it got to a week before it starts season,
why have you got to get worried?
I know. I was about to say.
If and this is not going to happen, but let me ask the question because this is what some people are worried about. If it gets to the 29th of June and we've got just about enough people to fill a squad bench, would you be worried then? Would you wait until the end of the transfer window shuts and we've maybe not got a full 25? Would you be worried then? I'm asking if and when you will be worried. If you say you're never going to be worried, that's your answer, Ben. I'm just asking.
I would be worried on the 29th of July if we haven't got 18 players. That's when I'd be worried. Because there's obviously a plan. Obviously, it's a professional football club. There's obviously a plan. So, no, I wouldn't be worried, to answer your question.
Okay.
Never.
Tom J. Brown summed it pretty well. If we're in League One, we would have signed a few players by now. As we're in the Championship, we're taking our time because we have to get it right. Yeah, and that's another good point, Danny, to point out to everybody that's sort of whinging and moaning. The wages we would have to pay in League One if we sign a new player would be significantly less. Anyway, we sign the Championship, it's going to be the high end of our wage structure because they've got to be better than what we've already got. So we can't just say, right, here's 10 grand a week, Dexter Blackstock. Please make sure you're a good player. We've got to make sure they're right, haven't we?
Yeah, we do. And I can tell you right now, there will be a list that they keep looking over more or less every day. Because like Paul Warne says, now that it's post-season, you're effectively on holiday, but it's a holiday where you can't turn your phone off because it's all constantly ringing. I mean, for all we know, there could be a whiteboard that they've got up at Roundwood. They might be doing the same thing that I've got, and they've just got names on a whiteboard, and they keep going, right, what's he like, this and other. But at the end of the day, we don't know, because after the Freddie fiasco, which is actually quite a good name for it, we are keeping cards much, much closer to our chest now, and I'd be surprised if we hear any sort of really cemented transfer rumour until the club actually announces that we've signed somebody. For example, when we signed Connor Washington, the rumour was on the day that it was announced, and all these other rumours, yeah, they are players that we might have been linked with, but we'll never know until the club announces it because we are keeping everything so close to our chest now. And I saw a comment earlier saying that he'll want to sign some players ready for the Croatia camp. Exactly, because they'll want to build up the fit. That's the one. He'll want to build up the fitness in Croatia with maybe at least 80% of the squad that he'll probably use during the season. And you have to remember, it's only the 12th of June, and our first pre-season game is on the 1st of July, and it's against Parkgate. And then the next day they're flying out to Croatia, so might be 2 or 3 coming in between now and then. But yeah, I agree. I think he'll want a few in before we go to Croatia, and if not, then you have to ask the question: why is it taking a bit longer? Excuse me. But I agree with Ben. We don't start worrying until it's July 29th and we've only got 15 players. That's when we need to worry. But as for right now, I'm just enjoying the ride and seeing people lose their minds that nothing's happened. And it's like, what do you expect to happen?
Yeah. What I would say about the Croatia trip, you've got to bear in mind last season, I mean, Matt Crooks came with us to Hungary. And we all knew Matt Crooks wasn't staying, didn't we? We all knew it. But he still came with us. And then I think you look at when we signed Rathbun, Adolfin, and we signed like 3 players the week before the season started, didn't we?
Reg,
I think. Yeah, exactly. So if they're not here for Croatia, that hasn't hindered us in the past. So I don't even think Croatia's a stopping point. I think maybe the week before the start of the season, if you'd like them all to get at least a friend under the belt, wouldn't you? In an ideal world. If it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. I remember last season when we did our pre-season predictions, we did them before we signed those players. And that's why, other than Mick, that's why all our predictions were quite pessimistic because we hadn't signed those players yet. We didn't know what we were getting into. No, Ben?
Yeah, it's just Mick got lucky. That's
Did
why. Because he just said first. We were always going to say first. Even if we weren't bust, he'd say first. If we had 20-point deduction, he'd say first. Just to prove a point. So he got lucky.
That's not right, Ben.
He said we finished sixth in championship and we got relegated.
Yeah. I got that wrong.
Stupid. You did.
I got that wrong. It's just goes to disprove what you've just said there, then, doesn't it?
Yeah. Okay. And Michael Smith, as of yet, not signed a new contract. If he'd signed it, we would have known. We don't know whether he's turned it down. There's been no communication yet. Anything to add, you three? We talked that to death last week, to be honest with you. If any of you three want to add anything, now's your chance. But I don't think there's anything to add at this stage.
Don't worry about it.
Cool.
Just don't worry.
The other one that's worth noting is Icky. Now, Icky is in the same boat. Icky hasn't signed a new contract. We haven't been confirmed that he's rejected his new contract. But this is the kicker. He was heavily linked with Derby. Now, by all accounts, he had agreed a deal with Derby County. Now, we all know...
deals with Derby County, isn't there?
Yeah, exactly. Now, we all know what's happening to Derby County. Their takeover has been delayed indefinitely. Now, this then becomes a question, Mick, that Derby, if and when Derby are out of administration, they will be able to offer Icky much more money than we can. But how long can you wait? Because this was meant to be sealed by Friday. I'm not going into details of Derby because we ain't got time. But this then becomes an interesting thing for him, doesn't it, really? Can he wait? Is he going to wait? Like, sorry, Rotherham, I'm leaving. I'm going to try and get somewhere else. It's quite an interesting turn of events, really, for anybody linked with Derby.
Well, it is, isn't it? And there's an EFL statement come out today that of basically they've told Derby that they've got 2 weeks, I think, essentially, to sort of deal out, or that's it. It's a shame they didn't give the same sort of amount of time to the likes of Bury and Macclesfield and other teams that went bust in it. But there you go. That's EFL for you. They don't want to have one of their sort of poster boys going under, do they? So it's an issue if he's signed a pre-contract or whatever. I don't know what Derby has signed it with because there's nobody in charge, is there? You know what I mean? It's just a mess, a complete mess. So if that's what he's waiting for, I might be starting to look elsewhere, mate. I'll be honest.
It's bizarre that he's even signed a contract with Derby. Well,
he hasn't signed it. I think it was a verbal agreement. I think.
I know, but if you've got any common sense, then you'd stay well away from that club, wouldn't you not?
Well, exactly.
That's bizarre.
If they're offering double wages, which they will be,
the imaginary, the money that they won't get paid, they won't pay him.
Listen, let me tell you a set of circumstances, Matt. Obviously, I'm not going to reveal what you do for a living, but if, for example, Derby came to you and said, right, Matthew, we'd like you to come and do what you do now, but do it for Derby County, we'll offer you double the wages. Would you go?
Yeah.
Would you? Do you think that, would you trust them to pay you?
Oh, right, okay, sorry.
In 3 weeks.
Yeah,
you know
that's the question. Yeah, I get you.
Why would anybody want to go there? It's an absolute shambles. It really is an absolute shambles. So
everyone else says waiting for Derby to come out of administration. That'd be retired by then.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's just ridiculous. Ben might be retired by then.
I might. Yeah.
PowerMed UK says Paul Davis says an update on Smith is in the paper on Wednesday. Yeah, I'm sure there will be. This is not me slagging off Paul Davis. I think he's amazing at what he does. But if there was an announcement, the club would announce it. An update from Paul Davis will be that we've given Smithy an extra week, which means nothing because if Smith says I needed 4 or 5 more days, we'll give him 4 or 5 more days. When there's an update, the club will tell us. That's where it's going to come. It's going to come directly from the club as and when there is an update. Yeah. Anything else you want to add on those two? Are we waiting too long? Should we wait longer? Does it matter? Anything else to add? Or we move on?
I still think he'll sign a new contract. I'm optimistic.
Smithy or Icky?
Yeah,
or both.
Maybe not Icky, because I've seen that Bolton are interested in him as well.
I see me in League One then.
Yeah, exactly. Kieran Sadley plays for him. That's why. But I honestly think, this is me and my optimist brain, I honestly think Smithy will sign a new deal, because I've seen that maybe Sunderland wanted to take him, and it's like, with him being a Mackham, with him being a Geordie, would he want to go to Sunderland? I know.
Would the fans want him?
Yeah, exactly. A player who's openly done the Shearer celebration while scoring against them. I mean, I know his girlfriend and that side of the family are from Sunderland, so that might play into it. But we'll see. Middlesbrough, maybe I could see him signing for them, linking back up with Crooksy, getting back into that system with him that he played for, which worked for us in the Championship. But they're like the only real two options that I could see for him. I can't really see him travelling that big of a distance to go anywhere, because he's nice and settled in, I believe he's in Barnsley somewhere. So he's nice and settled there. I think it is just a discussion that he's having with his girlfriend about, because they're a unit. They move as a unit. Same thing with Dan Barlasser. If any offer was to come in for him, he would have to speak to his missus about it, and all the upheaval that's involved with that. But I can tell you for sure, but Barlasser isn't going anywhere this summer. He's already openly said that. But with Smith, I can see him re-signing, honestly. But I can see him really taking his time to ponder his options, because he's an intelligent bloke and he will want to take his time and see it all on the table in front of him and see what the best option is. And might be a little bit cynical saying Rotherham's his best option, being a Rotherham fan, but I don't know. I can honestly see him re-signing, but we'll do it in like a really showy offy way. Like he'll model the away kit or something, and then it's like, oh, here's on your away kit, and by the way, Smudgy's staying. I could honestly see that being the case.
What I'd like him to do is for here's our second kit and Michael Smith modelling it, but don't reference it at all. Don't say anything about don't put Michael Smith in the article once, but just have him modelling the kit.
I mean, they have had him in modelling something. It was the I think it was the children's City of Culture thing, yeah. And I look at someone said in the comments, "Oh, that picture's recent," because when I last saw Smudge, had a shave, and now he's got stubble, so it's like, conspiracy hat time.
Yeah. Good luck to it. Also, be signs. I think there's been a lot of people saying we should withdraw the offer because it's taken too long. The club will be getting their ducks in a row. There's no rush. The real football season finished 3 weeks ago with Sunderland game at League One. So, Championship, we didn't Championship, aren't we? So, yeah, I don't worry about it. If he turns out it's not signing, we'll have other people will be going after. I don't think there's what would we gain by withdrawing a contract offer? If he rejects it, you move on. But there's no point withdrawing the offer. It just seems petty to me. And I am a petty man. I enjoy being a petty man, but I think it's too petty. Let's move on. The other transfer rumour, which never was actually a rumour, but was sort of people, other fans got excited, was Ross Sykes. Now, we've bigged up Ross Sykes for the past 4 or 5 weeks because I think he is an excellent player. I think he fits the mould of being a Rotherham player. He's going to Belgium, apparently. And the only reason I bring this up is because he's gone for £250,000, Mick. Now, that's a good price for a player of that. He's very young. Now, if we've not signed him, he clearly doesn't fit our mould, and I think he's going to play European football, so he wouldn't come anyway. But that just shows that there is players out there. If he's £250,000, there are players out there that are going to be within our budget that potentially could be as good or better than him that we might be able to sign. That's the way I'm playing it anyway.
Yeah, absolutely, there are. And we don't know who they are because none of us do this for a living. None of us supporters do this for a living, so we don't know what the market is. We don't know who's available in the market or who might be available, whether it be on a transfer or on a loan. We just have no understanding of it whatsoever. We don't know what's happened with this transfer from him to the Belgian club. I think is it Leicester's Brighton's sister club. So there might be some dealings going off there behind the scenes. You don't know any of this. The figures that are quoted for transfer fees are just a finger in air by somebody on Twitter. And you know what I mean? So none of us know the details of any of these sorts of things. But like the point out quite rightly there, there are players available. And our recruitment team will have been doing the homework a long time before this season finished. as to where they want to be throwing the net. And the wheels will be in motion. Let's not panic. Don't panic. You know, Tony's already said he'll stick his hand in his pocket. He said that he will invest in the playing side this season, whether that be in transfer fees or wages. He will do it.
Let's wait and see. Cheryl still points out, but no one in England thinks it's worth it either. Exactly. If Coventry had come in and thought it was worth it, they'd have paid money. They'd probably gone to Coventry or Luton or something like that. So that's a very, very valid point. There must be a reason that other English clubs haven't gone in for him for that price. So let's just chill. Let's just chill. Paul Barnfield Barney says, Will Grigg, what's happening with him at the moment? Heard nothing. As far as I'm aware, Danny, I always throw to you on these type of things, but as far as I'm aware, it's still a matter of just working up his fitness.
Yeah, we're just waiting to see how he comes back from his rehabilitation, and we'll go from there. That's it, really. Smart decision, I think. We don't want to sign him whilst he's injured, because we saw that with Ozzy Tutu, and he didn't play for the first month or so of his loan. So I think, again, we're just going to try and play it smart, wait and see how his rehabilitation goes, and just then move from there. Because we've obviously had the gentleman's chat with him about, would you like to come back? Yeah, I'd be up for it. But in terms of doing the smart thing, you'll wait until he's back fit before actually putting the contract in front of him and seeing what happens. But yeah, there's no dramas with Will Grigg. I have it on in confidence that he doesn't like Sunderland, because he told me outside an off licence in Gillingham. and yeah, he definitely wants to. He definitely likes Paul Ward's regime and the whole atmosphere around the club. So I think he'd be up for it, but we're just playing it smartly, I think.
Yeah. Ben, if you give me advice on, I know you're well up on what parts of the body need to train harder and things like that. I assume you've given advice.
Yeah, I give him a ring. Yeah.
Did you DM Kieran Sadley about his ankle?
No, he won't answer my call.
I
think he's blocked my number.
Sadly.
Is that because of what you said about him in this podcast about him not being very good at being football?
Maybe. I think he's still angry about it.
Oh, yeah. That were only the beginning of last season. You said Will Grigg weren't very good football.
I sent him some flowers and some chocolates.
International roundup is basically Chio played a game. Chio played for Republic of Ireland against Ukraine, and I don't know if you three watched this game, but my word, Republic of Ireland were terrible. They are so bad. I know they beat Scotland, which makes it crazy. Chio didn't play in that game. But they were terrible, and it was less entertaining to watch than England. We all know how bad England was on Saturday night.
Listen, I spent all day watching grass grow in my front garden, and that was still more entertaining than England game last night.
Did any of you watch Chio for Ireland?
No, because I'm not subscribing to Premier Sports, unfortunately. I fork out enough money as it is for Netflix.
Yeah, it was. Chio was all right. It was fine. What I will say about Chio is it struck me certainly from set pieces and stuff. It was ordering people around. It was acting like a leader, which I found quite interesting, because when he plays for Rotherham, it just sort of looks like he enjoys himself and relaxes. But for them, he was being a proper leader, which I found it looked like it anyway. Obviously, it might be nonsense, but I was impressed with that side of his game. Lee Freeman asks, do we all think Volks will be a piggy next year? No. And the only thing I would say to that, one of the reasons I say no, is that he's trying to get in the Welsh squad for a World Cup. I don't think playing 46 games in League One next year is going to enhance his chances of playing at the World Cup, and that's the reason I would say that.
All I'll say is he got into the Wales squad with Rotherham, and he hasn't done it with any other team. Just saying.
Exactly. Right. What we're going to do now is, shall we have we're going to do Danny's Manscaped advert. His Father's Day advert. And then we're going to come back and we're going to talk about our first Rotherham memories. Now, I've pre-warned Mick to remember this. We've had loads of people comment on Twitter today, Twitter and Facebook. I've put some together because there were so many. We'll use some today. I'll use some in future. We're going to have the Manscaped advert, and then we're going to talk about Rotherham United first memories. We will see you after our Father's Day advert. Thank you.
Here we go.
Hey, look, you're right.
Hiya. I just thought I'd drop off a little Father's Day present for you.
Oh, nice one. Come on then.
So yeah, here you go. Happy Father's Day.
What are these?
Well, this is the Father's Day package from Manscaped and the brand new Weed Whacker, which is like your nose hair trimmer.
Cool. Wow, look at that.
So you've got your ball toner and your the names are brilliant, aren't they?
It's the razor then.
Yeah, that is the Lawnmower 4.0. That's their latest razor.
You've got a light on it.
Yeah,
So you can shave in the dark.
exactly, and
Those hard to reach places.
exactly, and it's waterproof as well.
Oh, cool. Down the right, smooth. Some boxes.
Yep.
Roger.
Yep.
Cool. All right, I see. So you get a bag.
Yep.
Put everything in. And
And that's so you don't get any stray bits.
that's brilliant. Thank you so much.
You're so well.
Thank you.
Happy Father's Day.
Yeah, and I'll see you down at Lane.
Thank you very much. Very good, Danny.
Oh, really good.
I can't believe he said that at the end. I have not forgiven him yet for saying that.
Well, so Danny, that sort of brings us on nicely to a nice segue. Your dad's clearly a Sheffield United supporter. How and when did you first remember going to the Rotherham game?
How can you tell he's a Sheffield United fan? So yeah, the story behind that is that my dad's side of the family are all from Sheffield, and there's a nice even split in the family between Sheff Wednesday and Sheffield United, which makes for a very interesting conversation. But it's sort of, so my dad and my granddad took me to my first ever football game, which was at Bramall Lane, and I think it was a 3-0 against QPR, and Billy Sharp scored an hat-trick. But I don't know, there was just something about Rotherham that appealed to me more. Mum's from Rotherham and her side of the family have settled in Rotherham. And I just thought, the story of Rotherham appealed to me more. This is when we were in administration down in the Dumpsing League 2. And I just sort of started looking at the scores, keeping up with them in papers and stuff. But it wasn't until the back end of the 15-16 season that I got to my first game through various circumstances. And yeah, just fell in love with Rotherham. And I thought, I'm from Rotherham. Rotherham's got a professional team. I can see this club going places in the future. I'm going to jump on the bandwagon and support him. And here we are. Just completed my first complete season of every single game. And wouldn't change it for the world.
Yeah, I like it, Ben. I like it, Danny.
I think my first Rotherham game was against Blackburn and we lost 1-0.
All right.
Yeah, I think it was, yeah.
Yeah. Like I said, we've got loads of people commenting, so we'll go through some of them. I haven't got everybody's in because there was just so many. I was surprised how many responses we got, to be honest with you. We've got a handful, and let's read them out. So we have, this one's on Twitter, this is from Jill. They say that it was the mid-70s in the days of Jimmy McGuigan, Danny? McGuigan? Jimmy McGuigan. Jill says, no idea if we won or the score. Just remember John Breckin's blonde hair and Jimmy Goodfellow's not so blonde or big hair.
Yeah. Jimmy Goodfellow had the same haircut as me. He disappeared, and then Rodney Fern came along. I thought we were just doing something along, just keeping Baldies in her job at that point.
Brilliant. James Davis with one. This brings in Rotherham memories and football in symmetry. James Davis says his first game was October 2000 when Rotherham won 3-0 against Oxford. Paul Warne scored the first ever goal that he scored with Ronnie Moore as manager. And it turns out his dad's first ever goal he saw was Ronnie Moore. And he says, now my son's first ever goal he saw was Paul Warne as manager. So we've got a bit of full circle and symmetry. I love a bit of symmetry, Ben. Do we like that one, Ben? We're having that as a good one.
Yeah, I like that one.
Good. Mick, I've given you about, what time are we on? I've given you about 12 hours, just under 12 hours notice for you to try and remember. Go first. We this was a question that's put to us at the end of the season. Somebody suggested we should do an episode on it. And this is why we're doing it. And people want to know why when you start supporting Rotherham United, Mick. Can you answer that question?
I can tell you, and I don't know this for sure because obviously I was too young to remember. I'm told that my first Rotherham game was when I was 3 years old,
Right.
which would put that wait for it in 1968. However, 54 years ago. However, I don't remember it, so unsurprisingly. But my understanding is that sort of from probably 5, 6 years old, I've been going ever since. And I think I've only missed. I may have missed a season when I got married first time around because of kids and money and everything else. But other than that, I don't think I've missed a season since. But I can't remember any of those early games. I can remember the names of players clearly, as everybody can. But I can't really remember any games, to be fair.
It's no
It's a
good
long
to
time.
I don't buy this as an excuse, I'm afraid.
What?
Well, a long time ago.
Listen, I have to think very hard, long and hard, to remember who we played last game of this season just gone.
When we were talking, like you said, you remember the game.
I do. I remember the first game that I really remember was a Tuesday night game. I think it was Tuesday. It must have been a Tuesday. And I'd got bored.
Did they have floodlights back then?
Yeah, they had floodlights. There weren't candles. There were actual bulbs. And I got bored when we were. By the time we got to 5-2 down, and we ended up losing 7-2 at home, and it was to Branscombe and Bournemouth Athletic. Or was it? I can't remember.
Bournemouth and Boscombe Athletic.
And we lost 7-2. And I remember the last goal going in. I was stood outside kiosk underneath main stand because the woman used to give us, if we went just before she shut, she'd give us all a little blackjack each. So that would have been about, I think, it would have been very early 70s, 72, 73 probably.
Yeah, it was 72. It was 10th of October 1972.
Ben's time travel, obviously.
No, I
You guys
researched it for him earlier. Yeah, because he.
It had to be winter time because it was cold, it was wet, and it was dark. And it was at that age I would have been 7 years old, so I would have been probably one of my first night matches. So yeah, there you go.
John C talks about Alan Crawford scoring 30 goals in a season, which he thinks is still a record for a winger. Mick, with Alan Crawford your time?
Yes. Yeah. Number 11. Played number 11 as he would as a left winger. Good player.
Miller Exco says we had 3 different goalies during that 7-2 game you mentioned. Mick,
you might be right, mate. Genuinely, I mean, I was 7 years old at the time, so it's just I just remember the score, remember it being so cold, and I remember I used to go with mum and dad, and my dad being really unbelievably frustrated and annoyed about it. Would you believe that? I don't know where that came from. And me just being really happy because I got a blackjack for free out at kiosk, despite the fact that we lost 7-2.
Brilliant.
I was young.
Yeah. Mike 61 Miller says, saw Alan Crawford score a brilliant hat-trick as Mills came back to beat Oxford 3-2 at their old ground, which is the Manor Ground. Paul Nixon on Facebook has a similar story to Danny. He says, same here with my granddad as a Wednesday fan. His dad was a Blade. He moved to Rotherham from Sheffield with his mum. Used to go to the Lane. When I moved to Rotherham, Mills won the 3rd Division title, and he was hooked. Yes, that's what we like. Let's throw 3 more comments and we'll throw it to Ben in a minute. This is another one from Twitter, LDG. Apparently, my first game was Bristol Rovers. His earliest memory was being in the main stand at Millmore, and the exotically named, or he thought, exotically named Evan Okoku was playing for Bournemouth. We drew 1-1. I got bored and went to play footy with an empty bottle under the stand. These are the days at Millmore. When I first went to started going, I used to go with a lad, and we at front of the main stand, we used to kick around a bottle of pop, empty bottle of pop, while the game was going on. No idea what we were going to think game, but just used to start with. Couldn't do that in New York. The joys. Sean Green, his first game was March 1971. He was 5-year-old. The match finished Rotherham 4, Plymouth 3. His abiding memory of the game was the substitute, who he thinks was Haig, scored a 90th minute winner with a diving header at the railway end at Millmore.
The what end, Matt?
The railway end.
The railway end.
Sorry. Paul Brock on the comments. My first ever game was a Tuesday night in the mid-80s. My dad took me. I don't remember much of the game, but I was fascinated by the crowd singing and swearing. My dad used to complain that when I wasn't at the games, I used to watch the crowd. I like it. Ben, would you like to go next?
Yeah.
Go then.
My first game that I fully remember is probably the older shot game.
The last game of that. The promotion.
Well, yeah, either that or I think we beat or lost like 6-1 or 5-1 to Swindon, and Alex Pritchard scored a free kick.
4-1, I think it was. I remember that game.
4-1. So that, because that was in that season, so that's my earliest. I know that probably makes some people feel a bit old.
Do you not remember Don Valley? Did you not go to Don Valley then?
Yeah, I was at Don Valley. But I don't remember any games. I remember Kevin Ellison running about, and I remember just the hype around Alfie. That was my Don Valley. They're my Don Valley memories. Fortunately, so
you're lucky. So did you ever go to Millmore for any reason? Did you ever go to Millmore?
You'll have to ask Mick, but I don't have any memory of Millmore. Unfortunately,
that's fine. Race Smedley says he remembered Jerry Gow's debut against the Rams. What a debut. Mick, why was this what a debut from Jerry Gow?
I don't know whether I've got this right.
Okay.
But Jerry Gow came to Rotherham United with a reputation, bearing in mind this was it 70s or early 80s? I can't remember exactly. It would have been 70s. With a reputation then, in that era, of being a proper hard man. I mean, a proper hard man in that era. And he came, and I don't know whether this is the same game, so forgive me if it's not. He came on, and within 20 minutes, he'd been sent off. and I don't know whether he broke somebody's leg or broke his own leg at a later stage as well. He was an animal, that man. He was an absolute animal. And I remember there being quite a furore about us being able to sign him. I think we got him from Man City. I'm not sure. But he certainly played there when they were decent the first time around. But he was an animal, and he literally was sent off within 20 minutes of his full debut.
I imagine back then you had to do something quite bad to get sent off as well, didn't you?
Yeah.
Not nowadays.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm sure it were a nasty challenge. It was right in front of the away dugout as well, if I remember rightly. Yeah.
Millix has got us. It says yellow card after 5 minutes, broke Steve Emery's leg a few minutes later, and off before 10 minutes.
Oh, there you go then. Yeah.
Bloody hell!
What a guy.
Jerry Gow, what a man. And if you didn't think you were a man, you'd tell him you were anyway, because otherwise he'd punch you.
You know, now that you've talked about Jerry Gow, I feel a little bit better about lining up against Guy Branston in our charity game. I feel a little bit better now.
I'll be honest with you, and obviously I've seen Guy Branston a lot, and I wouldn't. Hopefully, he listens to this if he's going to be marking you. In relation, if you compare Guy Branston and Jerry Gow, Guy Branston's a pussycat. I'm telling you now.
Oh, thank God.
It was Danny that said that, guy, not me.
Nah, I'm looking forward to it. It should be fun.
Let's give a plug while we're here, Danny. So that's the 16th of July, Bramley.
Yes, Flash Lane at Bramley. Yep.
Cool. Mick and Ben are there. They won't be playing, but they will be there. We'll talk about that near the time as well. We'll get that some right thing. Paramount UK on games. He hated football as a kid, but he went to Don Valley to support his local club through dark times. You were one of very few that went to Don Valley to support through some
okay.
dark times.
Yeah, we were there, weren't we? We were horrible.
It says, I don't remember who we played, and they started going to New York every so often, and then could not stop going and got a season ticket. I think that's the case with a lot of football. I come from a footballing family. I come from a Rugby United family, but from a lot of other, some fans like Danny and Power, and I can't remember someone else said we met Surf earlier ago. It seems quite easy to get hooked on Rotherham United. That doesn't surprise me, being a fan of the club, because as we've already mentioned, we're Entertainment FC, aren't we? Even going back to the bad days, it's entertainment either way. Yeah, great to hear. My first game was, my first memory was we played Wickham at home. I think it was in 96.
Right memory of
that. I don't remember. We won 2-1. I remember winning 2-1. I don't remember any of the goals. The one thing that sticks out in my memory, I think I was 5 at the time. The Wickham player, the referee gave a throw in, and the Wickham player tried to take it as a free kick. And then when the referee told him to take it as a throw in, all crowd started laughing at him. And in my 5-year-old, I felt really sorry for this guy who were getting laughed at. and now I'm thinking, he was just trying to cheat and win a free kick. I don't know why I was so worried about him, but I just remember feeling really sorry for this Wickham guy. He's not at home and he's getting laughed at. I just feel really sorry for him. Why?
Whereas now you'll be joining in with laughing, won't you, Matt?
Exactly. Yeah. I won't be laughing. I'll call him a name for trying to cheat a free kick. Not my first one. Got a few more. Sean Green, his first game, we've already done that one. Apologies. Billy Vernon. He says, in about 2008-ish, we had Morecambe at home and Don Valley. Literally about the 4th game of the season, nothing on the line whatsoever, and drew 0-0. Was watching the scores coming at my nan's, but because we didn't win, I ended up in tears come 5 p.m. all because we didn't beat Morecambe at home.
Oh dear.
We've all been there, Bailey. We've all been there.
That is a very good one. Paul Hudson says, my first memory was sitting on the wall just to the side of the just at the volley to the side of the goal, and about 5-year-old, and Ronnie Moore hitting one wide and smacking me right in the chops.
I hope you kept the ball, Paul.
Yeah. At least you deserve. I love these. Lee Freeman, this is a classic one. My first memory was a 4-4 lost on penalties against Wolves in extra time at Millmore. And the extra time lights went out and everybody was singing for Boothie to put 20p in the meter. The other reason that game is incredibly famous is because up until the 119th minute, we were winning 4-3. And then Rob Scott scored the greatest own goal of all time by nailing it into top corner from about 8 yards out. I think that's on YouTube. If you haven't seen the Rob Scott own goal from that game, I highly recommend it because it's incredible. Yeah. Where else have we got? Geraldine Sims, this is a good one. She says, taking her boys on their 7th birthday. They had been going with their dad for a while, but it was her first match. She was blown away by all the players taking the time to sign Theo's book and wish him a happy birthday. And the club arranged for his favourite 2 players, Smith and Iverson, to meet in pre-match. The match was against Wimbledon and was a draw crux on the Dapple on the score sheet. Been a huge fan since then and take it home and away. And I think that's the thing with lower league clubs, Danny, really. I mean, I might be wrong. I might be doing service Premier League clubs. But that's the kind of thing you get with Rotherham United. And that's what keeps people coming, the friendliness of the club, the friendliness of the fans, and that kind of thing. For me, anyway, that's how it feels.
Yeah, it also helps that you can actually get to low league football games in the current era because my mate Carly was a Liverpool fan. There's a 15-year wait on season tickets at Anfield, and the only way you get to jump the queue is rather morbidly if someone was to die and give you their season ticket. That's the way. That's the one of a few ways to jump the queue. I think there's a wait on at Bramall Lane as well for a season ticket. It's not quite as long, but there's definitely a queue. But with us,
you have a postcode in the area where the club is.
That's the thing with Liverpool. There's the season tickets, and then there's the Liverpool postcode membership, which is like your second in the line to get into a game, and then there's general sale. But with us, you can just go, can I have a match day ticket, please? Yes, and then you just go in. And I think that is why we are seeing much higher. Well, one of the reasons why we're seeing much higher attendances is that with low league football, it's more accessible now. and then people fall in love with that club. Like I've known people who are fans of different clubs come with me to a Rotherham game, and they've gone, you know what, it's actually really nice, and they've told me that they've kept track of Rotherham scores and just kept an eye on us. And that is definitely a more at the forefront of everyone's mind in the current era, because we are just a really friendly club. We're really, really friendly and welcoming, and yeah, it's a great time to be a Miller, just to be a friendly Miller.
Yeah, it is.
Let's be honest. The environment for watching football. I mean, we're obviously 10 years into New York Stadium now, and there isn't a game goes by where I don't walk into that stadium and walk up the steps and look out across it and think, I can't believe that this is our stadium. You know, the environment for us as supporters of this club to watch football is better than it's ever been. You know, you when you look back to Millmore, with all of us who spent time there, have all got wonderful stories of great nights. You know, beating Arsenal 3-1 in the League Cup in, I think, 78-ish. You know, I remember it like it was yesterday. It was fantastic. The feelings I remember. I don't remember the game, but you know, all those feelings that you get. I've got images on my phone from the last day at Millmore, and you know, you look back at it with a certain amount of nostalgia, I guess. But at the end of the day, it was a pit. It was an absolute pit of a football ground. You know, it was a mess. It was horrible, but probably that's why we all loved it. You know, it was just a shed. It was horrible. The toilets were vile. You know, the seats were wooden and old, and it was just a mess. So, you know, what we've got now is it couldn't be further away from what we had. So I don't know where I'm going with this. There's a big difference, you know, between if I took somebody to Millmore 10, 12, 15 years ago, I don't think it would encourage them to go back. You know, you take somebody to Millmore on a cold Tuesday night in November and it's peeling down with rain and -4, they ain't going to go back. You do that with New York Stadium, it'd be a completely different matter.
Yeah.
Now, you've said that about Millmore, Mick, it's just jogged my memory of a story my mum likes to tell about Millmore. Now, this isn't her first game there, but it's her best memory. Now, this is the time where not really a lot of women went to football matches, because it was in the early 80s, I think. And my mum had gone with her husband at the time, and she had to use the toilets. Now, bearing in mind, the women's toilets was just one single toilet that you had to get a key for to go and use. That's how few we went at the time.
Wow.
And she got stopped by a policewoman saying, obviously she got into the stand and then tried to go back out to go to the toilet. And she says, "Oh, you can't have that in the stadium. It's an offensive weapon." It's like, my mum took an offensive. She took a knife into Millmore. What's going on here? No. It were a pink umbrella, and she got stopped for it, saying it's an offensive weapon.
Wow.
And she says that's her favourite memory at Millmore, getting stopped for having a pink umbrella. He's like, what's she going to do with that? Try and stab one at players with it? Should have saved that goal and throw a pink umbrella at you.
Can I just add into that? I don't know. Anybody that's watching on YouTube, Matt's not going to be able to put this comment up, I don't think. But Miller XO has just put a comment in the YouTube.
We can do it. Yeah. So Miller XO says, absolutely, Mick. He misses the smell of bob rolls, pies, smoke, and toilets. Let's put it that way.
Mate, honestly, he is absolutely right. Do you know that smell? That smell that he's describing there, horrendous as it sounds, it's just it puts love hearts in my eyes as well. If ever you come across it just brings back so many memories.
Yeah, we used to go with somebody who used to smoke them cigars. What were them cigars called, Mick? They weren't proper cigars. Yeah, I used to smoke with them, and whenever I smell them, whenever somebody smokes them, it just takes you back to being 9-year-old and uncovered main stand. It's great.
Yeah.
We have Grace Kelly says, parents threw me in a Rotherham kit at 2-year-old. Never went to the matches. Now I've all just started going. The first match was Middlesbrough pre-season, which was last season. The picture is always used to embarrass me on my birthday, so we're not so bothered now. Yeah, like it.
But you're loving that, Grace, don't you?
Exactly. Yeah. Where are we? We've got some more comments from. We'll finish up what we've got from Twitter and stuff. We have Charlie Hawks who says Dagenham Wembley was his first game when he was 6. His first game in New York. His first game in New York was Ravel 1-0 win at home to Wimbledon. His first away game was Forest away in 2017's Ajayi's debut. Where else have we got? Scott Wilson says he went 92-93 season against Leyton Orient. Millmore thinks he won 2-0. Standout moment, we're watching Bruce Grobbelaar at Millmore. I think it was at Plymouth that season. And Zach Jones, the final one we've got on here. This season. Miller's won, Crew won, went with his granddad this season, and now he's getting a season ticket with him. Brilliant. I mean, that Crew game's quite a good one to start you on because it summed up Rotherham United. For 90 minutes, it was really entertaining. And then on the 92nd minute, he got kicked right in the gut. That's Rotherham United in a nutshell. I'll get really ready for next season. Grace Kelly says she has the funniest moment was her when Kelly scored on his debut and her not realising that her dad would go crowd surfing. Brilliant. Oh, we've got so many comments on here, guys. Thank you for everybody that's put them. Mike the Miller asks Arsenal game. Frank Stapleton scored after 7 minutes for Arsenal. Welsh centre forward David Gwythamick.
Dave Guider, yeah.
Dave Guider scored 2 from 2 diving headers past the legendary Pat Jennings. I do remember Pat Jennings.
Just let me read you this Arsenal team out. I don't know whether I've got it here. You've got Pat Jennings in goal. Sammy Nelson, I don't know. David O'Leary, Pat Rice, Willie Young, Tim Brady, Graham Riggs, Malcolm McDonald, Frank Stapleton and Alan Sunderland. That was an amazing Arsenal side. They did not play their under-23s in the first round at League Cup or whatever. That side was an amazing side. And we absolutely battered them. Dave Guider were great. Similar haircut again. But he had comb over, I think, Dave. But yeah, I remember that night. I remember it like it was 20 or 30, 40 odd years ago. 50 odd years ago.
Paul Nixon says he remembers Mike Pollock coming back to Millmore with Chesterfield and then at ages 2. Carl Scott says he was having pies lobbed at him.
Yeah,
to be fair, the pies were the softest thing being thrown at him. That was incredible. I was there, Mick. Danny and Ben certainly wouldn't have been there. For anybody that didn't go, this is one of the pieces Millmore was different. So the story goes that Mike Pollock was with us. We got promoted from Division 3 to Division 2. He left a promoted team to stay in Division 3 with Chesterfield. Now, it turns out Chesterfield were doing some dodgy dealings and paying essentially bonuses, which they didn't declare for one reason or another. And then in that season, because it was Chesterfield, local rivalry, left a promoted team, Rotherham fans were very, very unhappy with that. And unfortunately for Mike Pollock, we played them in the, whatever it was, the LDV Vans Trophy, whatever it was at the time. And the first half was fine because Mike Pollock was at the very far end from the Rotherham fans, and that was fine. The start of the second half must have got delayed for 10 minutes because people threw pies and coins and bottles. Honestly, it were just, I don't think I've ever seen anything like that at a Rotherham game before, mate. The venom that the fans were chanting were incredible.
Yeah, they didn't have social media to vent the stupidity out at that time, did they? So, it all got took out on poor Polly at Tivoli end, and he did get battered with various bits and pieces, but it got sorted in end, and everything went. He came back, and he was forgiven, unsurprisingly.
I also want to remember, we'll wrap up in a minute, we'll just go through the memories here. I want to remember, we sat in the main stand, we used to sit behind the away dugout, and somebody wants to throw a puck of pie at Gianluca Vialli. And it ended up when it just, the most Rotherham thing ever, this nice, suave, beautiful Italian man who's a god at football comes to Rotherham and somebody just throws a steak in a pie at him. Most Rotherham thing ever.
Brilliant.
Brilliant. Anything else we want to cover tonight? I hope everybody's had a good laugh because we've got to fill the time. Because I want to talk about Rotherham United. I want to talk about Rotherham United anyway. Anything else you three want to mention? Any memories you want to bring up?
Yeah, you've made me think about Millmore now. I need to forget it. I need to get rid of it. It's interesting that a number of people have said in the comments as well. A lot of the time, it's the smells. It's not the sort of things that you see, the visual stimuli. It's the smells. It's weird, isn't it? It's absolutely weird, but there you go. Yeah, every now and again, I walk down a street or walk through somewhere outdoors, a market or whatever, and I catch a smell of something, and it just immediately transports me back to that tunnel underneath Tivoli or main standard underneath press box or wherever I might have been at that point. Bizarre, really weird.
Yeah, yeah, it is.
I think one thing that we could do, and I know this is going to be far in the future, but one thing I'd like to think we could do is when Millmore eventually goes and its sporting license is gone and, it's taken up by whatever fills that space, that we're still thinking, but we might rename the West Stand in New York Stadium and call it the Millmore Stand, because that's the stand that faces Millmore. Yeah, just a little commemorative thing, like when the spiritual home eventually goes, I'd like to see something like that if it's in my lifetime. Because even though I never got to go to Millmore.
Yeah. Sorry, go on, Danny. Sorry, I interrupted.
Yeah, never went to Millmore, but it's nice something to commemorate an old ground, which I think a lot of football grounds don't do. Like take West Ham and the London Stadium, for example, no mention of the Boleyn Ground at all. I know Tottenham Stadium's built on what used to be White Hart Lane, but it's not officially called White Hart Lane anymore. So just a bit of something, just to have a little memento of Millmore. And one thing I want to see happen sooner rather than later is to get the Derek Dalton clock out of Millmore and put it somewhere in New York Stadium.
Yeah, that'd be very good. A little small part I wanted one of the stands at New York be called the Railway End, because it's still next to a railway line. That would have been nice. That'd have been a nice touch. Look at us complaining about New York Stadium. How goddamn dare we? Me and Mildex goes enjoyed it. Stop it, Mick. He's got some grit in his eye. If you haven't done already, please subscribe to the YouTube channel. We're creeping up to 600. That would be please do that. We are going to have an episode on Thursday. We're going to be back here live on Thursday. But what we're going to do is we're going to have another trip down memory lane. We're going to use Lewis Oldham's article I put over the website on newyorktalk.co.uk about the best loans Rotherham United have ever had. So we're going to go trip and fall back in love, which you should never do. You're going to fall back in love with some former loan signings. See if we can find some rubbish ones as well, just to chuck them in as well. And then we'll come back Sunday for anything that's happened between now and then. Last call. Anything else you want to mention? Ben? Been super duper quiet. That's not a bad thing.
Yeah. I haven't got out.
Wonderful. I should also thank you. I always ask everybody to put 5-star ratings on iTunes, Spotify. I checked on Spotify the other day. There's like nearly 35-star ratings that I didn't know were there. So thank you to everybody that's done that. If you haven't already, please do so. Same with iTunes. Give us a thumbs up on the YouTube video if you're doing that as well. Follow us on Twitter. Follow us on Facebook. Check out athleticgreen.com/Rotherham. And don't forget, it's Father's Day this Sunday. And Manscaped is a great advert, as Danny knows.
And can I just say, my dad highly recommends all the products. Highly recommends it.
Yeah. He asked Ben. Danny, But Danny, it's been a pleasure to speak with you, as always, mate.
Yep, always a pleasure.
Benjamin. Oh.
You're welcome.
And Mick, thank you for using your memory today. I think everybody appreciates you helping with the history today.
Yeah, I'm tired now. I'm tired. It's worn me out.
Brilliant. Anyway, thank you, everybody, and we'll see you next time. Thank you very much.
Bye.
Bye.
Credits on one-on-one. The credit turning shoot container shot. Yeah!